Hi everyone, I'm Josh and welcome to Josh Wright Piano TV. Today I wanted to present a quick tip about the Schubert Impromptu in G flat major, Opus 90 No. 3, perhaps his most famous impromptu. And this tip came from a recent lesson that I was teaching to one of my longtime students, Dana. And she had worked so hard on her voicing in the previous weeks, so she was projecting really nicely now. And bringing out that melody nicely. But what was happening a bit is she was quite uneven and getting some having evenness issues both with sound and with tempo. So it's completely fine to use rubato in here. This doesn't have to be metronomic by any means, but I wanted to share a procedure that I gave her to hopefully remedy this situation. What was happening is as she was holding these notes, which Schubert instructs, the rest of her hand was getting a bit tight, and it was causing those evenness issues, some random accenting, and also some clumping. So there's a small two-step process to help fix this. I'm not saying this is a magic elixir that's going to fix all of your problems, but this seemed to really help her in the lesson, so I wanted to share it here in a video. What we went over is, rather than holding this as a practice method, let's first start with getting rid of the melody altogether and feeling the natural motion of the hand when it's completely free of having to play any of those melody notes. And that is a great first step because it kind of reacquaints you with a relaxed hand. When you have to hold something in the other part of the hand, subconsciously, you can start tightening things that you wouldn't normally tighten. The next thing that I had her do, and this is a great exercise just to get better at voicing and shaping anyway, is to not hold your melody notes because it's so much easier to shape something when things are connected. You can really feel that weight transfer and then less. Even though those aren't perfectly connected because they're all fives, I'm really holding those. Let's take that out of the equation and play all of this, but don't hold those. This is just a practice method, but it's going to teach you how to keep the hand loose while still listening very carefully for good shaping there, and then coming down. Okay, so I'm going to be letting go of that. More to there, and then less. And this is going to keep the hand very loose. Once you've mastered those two, so the bottoms by themselves, and then not holding the top, you should have built, and this is not something you do in 5 minutes, this is something you do over the course of several days or weeks. Once you get that feeling and you're able to relax in both of those steps, then you can start holding on to the melody again. And purists will say you've got to connect them absolutely perfectly, but because we have the pedal down, if you want to hold it for most of the time and then lift at the end so that you can retake it very deliberately, that would be probably helpful for your hand to not tighten up too much. Additionally, I want to give you a little image. If you have a wooden board and you drive a nail down into that board, you can still spin that board 360 degrees. If you put 2 nails in the board, it's not moving. You might get a little wiggle out of it, maybe. Once you have 3 and 4 and 5 nails in that board, it's definitely not moving. And the same could be said about the hand. The hand is a lot more flexible than a nail in a board, obviously. But the more fingers I have down at one time, the more locked my hand is. So even as we go back to holding that, the bottom of this figure, the bottom line of that figure, still has a bit of flexibility. It's not as flexible as our step 2 where we let go of those melody notes, but you're still feeling the remnants of that practice with that flexibility. And you can really minimize that down to be very unnoticeable to the audience. If you watch my hand, you're not thinking, wow, he's rotating a lot, but I feel these little internal movements in my hand so that I can connect that melody, but still voice effectively. So that is a little method that worked really well for one of my students, and I wanted to share it here on the channel. If any of you have any questions, my email is josh@joshwrightpiano.com. Just a disclaimer, I'm not able to answer every email I receive. I just receive way too many to be able to keep up with that and my private teaching and making these videos and my online courses. But if you need a quick clarification, I can usually answer those. So I will leave a few links in the description below. One of them is for a free webinar containing 10 of my favorite tips to help take your playing to a higher level. These are tips that I use every day in my teaching and in my own practice. Second, I will leave a few links to my paid courses. And last of all, I will leave a link to my gear kit with everything that I use to film these videos, as well as some other helpful gear like theory books, other books that I find helpful, CDs that I like, how to effectively do a Skype lesson. A lot of different things are in that kit, so I hope you enjoy that as well. Have a great week. Good luck in your practice sessions.